All right, guys, we're going live. Xbox All In channel. Host Sega Forever here. Don't want to be here a little. Don't want to be on here too long. I'm gonna try and keep this as short as possible. I'm gonna jump right in. But as you guys know, man, on my channel, I like to do a lot of different things. Right? We talk about that all the time. Slowly trying to convert the channel from being just a simple pop culture channel to focus on things that are politics, where pop culture can be involved. But there was just a lot of information that was dropping in these last couple of days. I did a video yesterday talking about something else, a little bit more specific to politics. This one is kind of in the political realm. I haven't got my channel exactly to where I want it to be. Haven't really actually figured out all the format, excuse me, all the formatting for doing what I need to do to get it to the level that I want it to be at, as far as presentation and stuff like that. So please bear with me. But with all that being said, man, there's a lot of stuff that I try and keep up with, right? And there's a lot of stuff going on. I touched on it a little bit with previous videos that I did, but I'm trying to bring this stuff full circle because again, I find this stuff absolutely fascinating. This is stuff that I'm pretty sure other people are looking at it as well. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the content. If you don't, man, then just if you just hear from my Xbox stuff, just wait till we do a video. I'll probably do a Wrecking Cool podcast on Saturday, just for the simple fact of some of the news that's dropping, a lot of the drama that's going on in the gaming community, so we have something to discuss. I'm not saying that I'm not as tuned in. It's just that all the other stuff that's going on, I just find a little bit more fascinating. Right? And hold on one second. Let me make sure this is streaming. Where's my channel? All right, I see it. I see it. I see it. All right, we good, man. We got it. We got it. Let me shut this down before I get confused because I want to be bouncing back and forth. Well, hopefully not as much this time. Again, afternoon where I live. Sorry about the background noise. Nothing I can do about it. Hold on one second. All right, I got it. You know what I'm gonna do? Actually, it probably won't be so bad because I'm gonna just I put everything on my X account. I will just run the videos from there. But as you guys know, man, I love to go down these rabbit holes, man. I'm an unabashed conspiracy theorist, man. I believe New World Order, all that stuff exists, right? You guys know I'm a Christian dude. I've been dipping into a lot of the stuff that's been going on. Uh, and not that I've been presenting it, but I've just been studying it, like the Book of Enoch. Not so much like a deep dive into it, man. I mean, I don't think, for me personally, man, it's all about the Word of God. I usually rock out with the King James version. I'm old school like that. But I'm a firm believer in everything that we need is in the Holy Bible. But with that being said, I've been actually looking at other stuff because as time moves on, as you guys realize, right, things actually get revealed. Some of it you gotta definitely take everything with a grain of salt, do your research, and then also know yourself and why you're doing the things that you're doing, why you're looking at the things that you're looking at. Like maybe what's your end goal, what kind of information you're getting out of it, and stuff like that. In the sense of pre-diluvian things that I've touched on this channel just a little bit, it has more to do with me as far as the biblical foundation of the flood, right? Because I've always had questions about the flood when I was ever since I was younger, man. Even from my entire life, this is something that's always been fascinating to me. Um, on a level that on a level that I always used to think of it in these terms, right? It's like what was so bad? Like how bad was the earth? I'm just bear with me. We'll get to the point in a minute, but how bad was the earth that God Himself actually flooded the entire earth because mankind had become so bad that things on the earth has gotten so bad that God just wanted to reset everything. Of course, you know the story of Noah, you know the story of the ark, um, all of that said and done, stuff like that. But always in the back of my mind, because as I've grown up, right, and then looking at how human nature is, how people are, how sin is in the world, how society can be good and then get bad and then get really bad. And I just think right now we just probably live in one of the worst times. As advanced as we are, with all the stuff that's going on, like there was a shooting earlier today on one of the campuses. I think it was at Florida State University. The stabbing of the kid the other day, man, there's stuff popping off where I live all the time. And it's almost like, and I understand we have a 24/7 news cycle, but I'm not talking about that. It's just, I remember growing up and not, society not being this bad, at least by my recollection, right? And so I always used to think about that because I always used to think, like, man, humans can be evil, we can be sinful. right? We're very flawed. Um, and I look at creation now, and I'm like, wow, dude. I mean, I'm surprised. I'll be honest with you, man. I'm surprised, like, we don't get struck by lightning or Sodom and Gomorrah, or God sent another flood, and there's reasons why. I understand. There is going to be a second coming. There's going to be a judgment day, right? I understand all that, right? But it's just in my mind, I used to think to myself, how bad must it have been back then, for God to actually flood the entire earth? So that's always been on the back of my mind, like how bad, like what happened. And then of course, if you read the Old Testament, right, there's references to certain things in the Old Testament, right? So anyway, my point being is a lot of this stuff has been coming, fast forward to now, right? There's a lot of people that are looking at things, breaking it down. Of course, pray about it, right? Pray for discernment, right? Don't add or take away anything from the Word of God. The Word of God is the ultimate authority, right? But I've been delving into these things little by little, and the people that I've been listening to, it's not about convincing me one thing or another or disproving stuff like how you see atheists and Christians, especially. That's why it's good to be. You have to be a sound Christian in doctrine, right? Because if you get challenged and stuff like that, you got to know what you're talking about. Or you can just don't get caught up in all the divisiveness of it all. But anyway, it's always good to pray for discernment, um, so that you can see these things and take it, at least from a biblical perspective, and of course keep your relationship right with God. So I understand. I got all that. I understand all that. That's what I'm not saying. So, but it's just that a lot of people now that are coming out and looking at, they're offering to me at least these different perspectives that kind of is answering the questions that I had ever since I was younger about how the world was before, right? The flood. Like for example, like if you read in the Old Testament, man, there's just some stuff. Um, let me pull this up really quick. There's just some stuff, um, that the Bible will just like kind of throw, like, you know just throw like almost what some might consider like a one-off, right? And then you just kind of listen to that and you go, oh wow, that's interesting, right? That something like that was said, but then it's never really like talked about even more than what it is, right? Right. So like for example, Genesis 6:4, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. Right. And then Numbers 13:33, and there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. So just little like verses and stuff like that. But of course, as anything else, right? The main focus, especially when it comes to the Word of God, right? It's the history, there's the genealogy, the relationship with God, the person of God, of course, Jesus. Dude, I'm sorry, guys. It is Easter, right? Today, in fact, is Good Friday. Oh no, tomorrow's Good Friday. So happy Good Friday to everybody, right? The burial, and resurrection, Jesus' ministry on the earth, right? The 12 apostles, the second coming, Revelation, Judgment Day, all that, right? Okay. So, of course, those are the major focuses that you got to look at, because at the end of the day, the relationship you have with God is very personal, right? And then knowing the will of God for your life and what you're supposed to be doing with your life, right? As lines of spiritually with God or with the Lord. So anyway, but I'm just saying, like, you read these passages, right, in context of what you're studying, of course, and then I'll be honest with you, man. A lot of times you're just kind of like, oh wow, that's interesting. They're giants, right? And then you've had people for years talk about it. What does that mean? Is that literal? Yada, 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 and all that kind of stuff, right? But then there's a lot of people now that are actually doing a deep dive into it. And I'm not saying that, um, look, because I'm very sensitive about this kind of stuff too, dude. I just don't go off. This is like I see all the time on my channel, man. It's like when I do things, right, and like I've always been a huge comic book fan. I like fantasy. I like science fiction, right? Like I've been talking about the games that I play and stuff like that. I do that because in those genres, I can actually let my imagination just kind of flow, right? I talk about it all the time on my channel. It's a form of escapism for me, right? And I enjoy doing that, right? But when it comes to the Bible, I'm just very more stringent, right? Because you guys can tell by my politics and stuff like that. I just have certain, you know, lines that I have, and I maintain that. For me to go outside of that, outside of the order that I like within my Christian life, my Christian walk, my politics, and all this kind of stuff. I am going to the other side, right? Which is the pop culture side. That's why this is a pop culture channel, and that's why I'm kind of changing it to give you guys a bit of a scope of what I like and what I do. Hold on a second, guys. But anyway, I guess you get the gist, right? So, and this is just part of the stuff that I'm diving into, right? Because there is the discussion of the Nephilim, right? There is discussion about how giants were created because what it says in the Bible, right? Sons of God, referencing sons of God, are angels, came to the women, right, who are actually mortal women, and had children with them, right, and the offspring. Those are the Nephilim. So these were like these giants. And then you see all this stuff now, which I find fascinating because I was doing the deep dive on the Egyptian stuff, right? They turned the satellite on the pyramids, and then all of a sudden they see that there's more to the pyramids than what they knew before, right? Because our technology has gotten better, right? And that's another thing too. It's not that people are trying to hide it. Like in some instances, right? That there's that because, and I know because I'm in that world, right, where people sit there and they talk about, look, they were trying to hide this kind of stuff. Maybe people know about it even before then. But what's happening now is that we're advancing. We're I don't know, dude. It's like we're on this precipice when it comes to advancement in technology, right? If you look at the history, especially in this country over the last 200-300 years, right, there's always been a steady increase in advancement, right? Whether it's during the industrial age, right, and what they say the computer age, all of this stuff, but it tends to happen in cycles, right? It tends to happen like a certain amount of time passes, things progress, and then a natural progression, like an almost organic nature, right? It tends to push itself along, right? Like if you just look at the phones we used to use back in the day and the phones that we have now, the computers we had back in the day, the computers we have now, the power of the mainframe, right, is basically what's on your phone right now is more powerful than what they had to do back in the day, right? The advancements in medical technology, right? The advancements in drugs, right? All of that stuff, right? But normally, right, what you see is you see this natural progression. Like a lot of the stuff that some people didn't know 60, 70 years ago, right? That we know now because we've advanced, and also for some of that trial and error, right? We've actually like how doctors used to say smoking was good, right? And I understand the tobacco industry, all that kind of stuff. I get it, guys, but there was a moment in time where people didn't think anything was wrong with smoking, right? They just did it, right? And there was commercials for it, and then all of a sudden, it became a thing with cancer, and it's because we just had this time where sometimes when you're doing something and then over decades happens, and then you see the negative effects of it. That's going to constantly happen. I'm not saying it's not. Hey, Gogo, what's up? Yeah, paradigm shift, man. Thank you. Perfectly well said. Well said, brother. Hey, man, welcome to the podcast, dude. I'm going to share this stuff real quick. But again, I just wanted to mention that to you guys because that's the direction my channel's going in. That's what I'm focusing on. That's why I don't do a lot of the stuff with as you guys can see with the gaming stuff. Plus, I'm getting kind of tired with the gaming stuff, and not tired. It's just like if you're a gamer and you have an Xbox, dude, you should be happy, right? I mean, you should go over the moon actually. I just watched the video with Bro. His latest video was absolutely awesome. He hit the nail right on the head. Right at some point in time, dude, you know you either are going to be a gamer or you're not going to be a gamer. You're either going to be in Game Pass, you're not going to be in Game Pass. But anyway, that's a video for another time. We'll probably do that on the Rick and Crew podcast. I'm pretty sure all the other guys are paying attention to it, probably more than I am. Right? I'm cognizant of it, dude, but I just get tired because it's always negative all the time. Phil Spencer did an interview, and he said something that he said before. He's a little bit more specific. People are reading into it more than what I think it is. But for me, on my part, I'm like, well, I can't do anything about it because that's always part of the course. And you guys know how I feel about Xbox and what I think Xbox should be doing as far as their future. But anyway, let's get back to the topic at hand. But that's the direction my channel's going in, and that's what I've been doing. Right. So let me share this real quick. Set this up. So in that. So what I was just saying about all of the stuff that I'm focusing on, right? So in that vein, right, I want to share this real quick. We're gonna go down another rabbit hole because there's a bunch of stuff that's going on right now, dude. I'm just being honest with you. Share the screen. Yeah, my computer is slow, guys. I do apologize. Can't do anything about that, guys. Sorry. Yeah, but thanks for being here, Google, man. Just this video shouldn't be too long, dude. I'm just gonna share this stuff real quick. Let me go to full screen. Boom. All right. So this is I got smart finally. Like Unlimited said, he puts everything in a folder. I'm just gonna drop all my stuff on X, like right here, and then we'll just play it real quick. Well, I'll be jumping in and out, so I do sorry. I do apologize for that. But anyway, the first thing I'm gonna kind of preface this is if you guys haven't heard of MH370, right? That's this airliner that went disappearing. I think it was like 10 years ago, 11 years ago. Anyway, I remember when it happened, dude. It was kind of a big thing, dude, and they never did find the wreckage, right? That's my understanding. They still never found the wreckage, right? So this is what I'm talking about. It's one of those things that I remember happening, and at the time I was kind of like, "Oh, what's going on?" But then you move on to other things. Well, this thing is kind of becoming around full circle, right? And again, because I'm into the conspiracy theories and stuff like that, dude, you can't avoid this stuff anyway. It's just by osmosis that you're gonna get caught up in all this kind of stuff, which I find interesting, right? Because it's kind of like, oh, well, what's going on now? What's going on here, right? But for me to be ultra focused on that, the reason why I talked about the Nephilim in the Bible and stuff like that, because I'm more ultra focused on that and what's going on. And I've gone the rabbit hole of angels and demons, and then how there are no aliens, that those aliens are actual demons, that the technology and the things that we're finding, government cover up and all that kind of stuff, is actually the dimensions to different universes, parallel universes, right? Like we live in phases. We don't live like there's no intelligent life outside of the known universe, right? It's just that the intelligent life that people think that they're seeing is actually exposure to parallel universes. And for biblically, right, this is it's you know what I have to. I'll go look up the Bible verse because I don't want to give you guys bum scoops or false information, but I'm more in tune with that there are different realities, that we're just in one of those phases of realities. And this isn't the multiverse Marvel stuff, guys. I'm being serious right now, right? And that's so I don't like multiverse and that stuff when they try and do that crap. But right, it's just these different phases and stuff like that, right? So a perfect example, which I'm gonna cockroach from some guy that talked about it, is Stranger Things. Okay, the Upside Down. So if you watch Stranger Things, which it made me appreciate all of this stuff, made me appreciate that show a bit more. Which I do love Stranger Things, right? Because the concepts and the stuff like that is a little bit hard to process for most people. But because I live in this type of environment, it's not that hard for me. But I can be honest with you, man. After studying this stuff a little bit more deeply, um, with all the all the secret experimentation that our government's done and all that stuff, they kind of touch on it actually. They kind of touch on it actually in Stranger Things, which I find interesting. Um, so I've been appreciating the show more on a level that normally I don't. Because a lot of times, dude, when I watch certain things, I just take it for what it is. If I'm being honest. So hold on one second. But yeah, but like I said, dude, you hang out in these circles, man. All of this stuff, you'll get caught up in it, right? And then you just gotta pick and choose what you want to look at. Like I said earlier, man, the pyramid stuff I find fascinating. But that's also because I'm tied into a lot of Old Testament stuff, right? And because a lot of people believe like who built the pyramids, right? It wasn't the Egyptians, because it's in the engineering and all that kind of stuff they get into. If you want to do that deep dive, it's a little bit too Star Trek for me and stuff like that. But me is more on the biblical side, like when they talk about giants and the Nephilim and early civilizations, right? Sons of God, fallen angels, all that stuff. Book of Enoch type of thing, right? Now, all of it for me though, in light of Scripture, dude. I mean, for me, like the Bible is the ultimate authority, and at the end of the day, God is above all. And that's why for some people, when I talk to them about this kind of stuff, I feel for them because you can tell they're very depressed about it. But like the stuff we're going to talk about right now, dude, there's people that are really worried about this, right? And they should be. You should be, right? Because this could be life. This could be to change the world in a way that's beyond pale. Like nobody could even imagine, right? Possibly, right? And so a lot of people, of course, they're digging into this kind of stuff, and they're feeling like they get really depressed about it. It's like this is the end of the world type of thing. It's over and all this kind of stuff. Again, I'm a Christian. I'm more rooted in the Bible, and like I talked about Revelation and the second coming, stuff like this. All of this stuff is already prophesied. What's going to happen? How the world's going to end. That's why I don't trip out about certain things, because men always have plans, and end of the world stuff is always talked about, right? Again, the Bible says wars and rumors of wars, all this kind of stuff. I'm not saying not to be saved, not to take things seriously, be prepared, right? Of course, right? But at the end of the day, if you read Revelation, God has already chosen the time and place when everything will come to an end, right? So that's why that's the way I think. So I don't it doesn't I don't go that deep. Like I don't get depressed over it and everything. Okay. But the first thing I want to show you, there, I want to show you this, guys. I'll show you this really quickly. Um, oh shoot, I lost it. Sorry. I'm gonna have to boom switch over. Okay. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'll blow it up. I'm not gonna play the video. It's really long, but I wanted to show this to you for two reasons. Well, let me skip it a little bit. This is called Redacted, right? If you guys know this dude used to be Fox and Friends in the morning. I've actually been following him because one of the first videos I didn't know he had his own channel, number one. So he's left Fox News. But when Starfield came out, he was actually talking about it, and he was really excited about it. I think he's more of a Nintendo, PlayStation guy. Definitely a Nintendo guy. I know that much. But because of what the promise of Starfield was, so obviously I realized, hey, this dude's a nerd. So I subscribed to his channel. The interesting thing is I don't really care for a lot of his video game content, but his news and then he's also another person that looking in, like he talks about 9/11. He talks about what was he just talking about the other day? Anyway, he's kind of like that. I don't want to say conspiracy, but he kind of is. But like I don't want to paint it in a bad light. Like thinking outside the box, asking questions. He had a really good thing with Tucker Carlson when they're talking about aliens, right? And he's kind of on the same vein that I am, dude. I don't think they're aliens, man. I think they're beings from another dimension, and those beings from another dimension are demons. So, but the reason I'm showing you guys this right now because I highly recommend you go check this video out because he talks to this one guy here. Let me pull up the. Hope you guys can see this, right? Can you guys see this? Oh, okay, good. Let me get this guy's name real quick. Dude. But anyway, go to this channel and look for this, right? Mystery Solved, MH370 Mystery Solved. The shocking evidence that changes everything we were told. It's funny, man, because I just started listening to this guy, right? Just because, again, I said, like, I'm in these circles now, right? And so when you hear something that these guys are talking about, you find it kind of fascinating, right? And then what he started talking about, because as you guys know, I did a podcast with Dia, and we were talking about quantum. But we were talking about AI, right? And from AI, we kind of touched on quantum computing, then you got quantum energy, right? Then you got quantum universe stuff, right? And we kind of left it kind of there. We didn't go deep down in, which we'll probably do a little bit later, but especially now with all this stuff kind of coming out, because like I said in the description, man, when you look at this kind of stuff, it just number one, you have to check your bias, right? That's number one. Man. Kind of clear your mind, open your mind up, because a lot of the stuff that's going to be said, you might not agree with. Because there's some stuff they talk about that I'm not on board with at all, right? But I just want to kind of hear them out, kind of pick and choose what I'm looking for, right? And then kind of at least hear them out, right? And just looking at the patterns. Right? For example, when I was these guys were talking about how this plane disappeared, that the U.S. has this technology, that we've had this technology, we reverse engineer it. You have AI and you have computing now. This is how we're able to make these advances now. I think AI we've had it since once the late '90s. Quantum computing, that's when it was first kicking off. But obviously, we're in 2025 and we made huge strides. Again, we talked about this somewhat. We did some videos on the podcast I did with Dia, where we talked about it. And so we've advanced, right? And this thing is getting better. As you guys can tell, AI is getting smarter. Right? People are starting to use it more. I use it. I used it earlier today when I was talking to AI about the number one, the flight, right? This I don't want to give you guys a shoot. MH370, right? So I just basically typed that in. What happened to the flight? And then the AI, this is Grok I use, right? It was giving me like the standard, you know, this, and it gave me all the evidence, what's happening, some of the side stuff, right? And then I asked them, oh, what about, the conspiracy theory is that we have technology that can basically manipulate space and time, right? And then I put that in there, and then and it's funny because Grok was like, no, there's no evidence of that, and which it should do, right? Because there isn't. This is all theory, a lot of it, and a lot of it's not proven. So if you watch this video, man, I think these make a really good case about stuff that's going on, right? But then I just kept on kind of pushing the button, because when you use AI, dude, sometimes what helps the most is, or what people have the problem when they use AI is they don't know what question to ask, or they're not asking the right questions, right? So I just kept on pushing. Like it would respond with about, well, we don't have 0 point energy isn't a thing, right? So I typed in, okay, what's the problem with 0 point energy, right? And then I kept on going, and it gave me a long list of stuff. And so basically, it made me realize that I just have to ask them, if this was possible, what would be the result? And when I said it like that, then boom, right? Grok just gave me this whole list of crap, right? And I mean, I'm talking like deep dive, dude. It's not just what's, because they're pulling this off of the web, right? Well, what it is this: I'm asking him to calculate now, and then he brought up everything that I was looking for, right? He basically said if we did have this ability, and he listed everything all in a row, right? And the only reason I did that is because I know when I talk to Grok, it's not going to give me. And Grok's pretty good, dude. Like I couldn't even do this with ChatGPT. I'll just be honest with you, but I'm doing this with Grok, right? And then Grok is like, so I figured out, okay, this is the question I have. And once he's giving me that, the only reason I did that is to just confirm that this stuff is kind of possible. That's it. That's the only reason I did it, right? Because if this stuff actually, if you could actually do this kind of stuff, right? There's a whole cadre of things that'll be affected. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are on this channel, man. You guys are into science fiction. You guys are into all this stuff like I am, dude. I'm not trying to put myself out there like I'm some kind of genius, right? I'm just doing the digging. Oh yeah, Google. Definitely go check it out. Sorry, I'm bouncing back and forth, guys. Definitely go check it out, brother. This dude is good. I mean, he's out there, right? I mean, I feel happy for him because a lot of the stuff he's been talking about, this guy's been lambasted for years, and I just discovered him a couple months ago, right? If I'm being honest, I'm not a. That's why I'm telling you, I'm sharing this right now with you guys. If you guys want to do the deep dive yourselves, definitely go do that, right? Oh, sorry guys, I'm trying to just switch over real quick. Yeah, but if you get a chance, definitely go check it out. It's worth checking out, especially if you're into like the AI stuff and you're into quantum physics, all that kind of stuff, quantum engineering, right? Because it all kind of ties in, right? And then that's what I talk to you guys about all the time. That's what I look for on my channel. If I'm talking about video games, entertainment, dude, I'm always looking at patterns and stuff like that. That's just kind of my thing, right? So this dude, I mean, for the longest time, right, this guy's been lambasted, like I said. But when I was talking to Grok about it, right, if we do have this technology, a lot of the stuff that was listed that Grok gave me as like dystopian future, there's highs and lows, right? Like you could like solving world hunger, all this kind of stuff, and of course you have to take everything with a grain of salt, right? Because there's a cause and effect. There's a causality if you actually discover something like this, and you could do stuff like cure cancer, all this stuff that it was listing, right? The advances you can make, right? If you had this type of technology, that's what I was focusing on, right? But it's also the negative parts of it, right? Like that was kind of my point into what this guy is saying, dude. And like I said, we're not going to get into the video, but he's basically talking about like the U.S. government has this technology, and with this flight, again, let me go down a little bit. MH370 mystery solved, right? There's a whole bunch of stuff that's being talked about, right? But he's saying that we use the technology because we wanted to prove a point to other countries that look, we have this. This is us. This is who we are, right? Because this is the next arms race right now, or possibly could be the next arms race. See, it kind of depends. The technology is still kind of new. It depends on all pans out. But once Grok gave me that, I already knew. It's just like this. My point being, like, if this stuff actually existed, this is something that's worth killing for, right? If it's a global arms race, of course, if you're whatever country you live in, right, you want your country to be the lead on it. I definitely want America to be the lead on it. I'm not saying that we're perfect, but you know what I'm saying, right? There's all of these things, right? That's going to happen, right? And that's what amazed me about Grok. Laid it all out, everything, boom, 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 boom. Talked about space travel being a possibility, because a lot of things that when I was first questioning Grok on this stuff, right, a lot of the stuff that he was putting up there, yeah, that makes perfect sense, right? Yeah, you'd have to find, you'd have to find a way to pull energy from the quantum realm, right? And yeah, and how do you contain that? What kind of materials? We don't have the tools. The technology is not there. We don't have power sources to pull all this kind of stuff, right? That all makes sense. But if we could do it, what would happen? And then he laid it all out. Sorry, I know it's a little bit. Just to let you guys know, just that's the way my brain is thinking about this. Hey, Pepe, what's up, dude? Pepe, welcome to the show, bro. I know I'm a little bit all over the place with this, man. I'm just kind of trying to piece this all together because I was doing the deep dive before I jumped on this, but I have to get this done within an hour because I got to go shopping. Um, Pepe Le Pew says astronomers say they found strongest ever hints of life beyond our solar system. Yeah, and Pepe, I'm not gonna look. There's people I don't believe, but there's other people that do. But the thing, Pepe, that I love about it is that people are sharing these ideas. So yeah, should people get passionate? Some people get upset about it and stuff like that. But that's not for me. I don't care about all that kind of stuff. I just care about the information, the flow, and then the sharing of the information. Right? Like I have strong opinions about that as well, and I could be wrong. I'm pretty confident in what I feel, but dude, that's not for if that's what and that's not my area of expertise. I'm just a dude on a podcast talking about it, right? Because I find it all fascinating. At the end of the day, it's just like being a gamer, right? Whatever. Like back in the day, it didn't matter really about the console. You had your favorites, but at the end of the day, you just like playing video games. You know what I'm saying? That's how I find this community. And again, I'm not saying they don't people don't disagree. People have arguments. People cut each other off. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but as far as since it's so new, you're dealing with that right now. You know what I'm saying? Like how it was when you were when I used to collect comic books back in the day, dude. It's just like there's just camaraderie that you have with people that other collect comic books. Whether I'm Marvel or DC, we argue. I would argue with my friends, but we still friends because we're comic book guys. You see what I'm saying? That's what the community feels like, especially the layman under the layman level where I find myself on. Because at the end of the day, I'm just discovering this stuff, discovering all this stuff myself. Like Pepe Le Pew says, British U.S. team detects biosignatures on planet K218b, 124 light years from Earth. Says it is the closest we have come to seeing a feature that we can attribute to life. Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that, Pepe. It'd be kind of cool if they can figure out how they can travel, because because and I'll show you guys the videos about. Look, dude, I know some of you guys can't stand President Trump, but I'm telling you, dude, he kind of let the cat out of the bag, and then you have this other dude that's talking about it, man. I mean, people have been talking about like if anybody was gonna spill the beans, man, it would have been Trump, and he kind of did, and I'll show you the videos about it too. Yeah, like that's the thing I was kind of looking at too. Like, how can space travel do? There's a lot of stuff that they're discovering with the Hubble telescope. I think it's Hubble, right? The one that they have out there that's all the way out there is actually sending back the data, and now we can kind of get a really better idea of what the universe really is like. You know how like certain people thought the planets were made of certain things, right? And then when you actually found out like Jupiter was just all gas, right? Like the reality of what because you look, dude, you have the science fiction, you have the fantasy, nothing's wrong with that, right? It's that in fact that's needed because that help drives us to go beyond what we the curiosity, right? The wonderment of it all to push us beyond what we look at. So I'm not gonna, yeah, dude. That if could be, not gonna disagree, bro. Cygnus says, "What do you think of celebrities going into space? I heard there's another batch of celeb after the recent ones. I think they testing something so rich people could escape the planet first." Yeah, Cygnus. Hey, welcome to the number one. Welcome to the podcast, Cygnus. Right? Look, dude. Mark Zuckerberg owns an island, one of the islands over here, right? Right? In the 50th state, dude. He got one of them. He got one of them islands, dude. These people are building fortresses. They're building stuff in the mountains, right? And it's kind of it's kind of suspicious, right? Because for the longest time, dude, I've been into prepping and doomsday the scenarios for the longest time for like over 20 years, and you'd have a few rich people, but it almost felt like they did it Cygnus because it was a fad. It wasn't really worried about the doomsday stuff. Of course, like they have their wealth and stuff. They want to be prepared, but it was all about it was kind of fatty, right, to them. But now, dude, you see these dudes moving like they're moving with purpose on this stuff, right? Like they know something's coming on, right? It could be because of all the stuff that happened with the pandemic, right? Maybe they still haven't recovered from that. But yeah, you make a great point, right? As far as what the celebrities do, I think going into space, like those girls, like was it Katy Perry, the girlfriend of Jeff Bezos, and all those people that were on there, dude. I don't mind that stuff, dude. I'm more worried about the rich people that are trying to like get me to eat bugs and trying to change our meat. Yeah, I'm talking about Bill Gates. Right? Want me to take vaccines. If you're a celebrity, you want to spend your money and fly into space or give the experience of 11 minutes in the non-stratosphere, whatever it is you're doing, right? Which is a glorified Halo jump level, right? Hey, dude, do you, man. You ain't messing with me, dude. You're not messing with my stuff now. I never thought about it that level though, Cygnus, right? But they are, like I said, look at the patterns, man, and a lot of these rich people are building bunkers, they're buying islands, dude, fortresses, they're going into space. Yeah, that's something that I didn't really think about. It's hard to keep up with all this stuff, dude. That's why I like doing podcasts, man. You guys come in here and then you guys start dropping knowledge, so appreciate it. Pepe says the planet is a sub-Neptune, about 2.6 times the radius of Earth, with a 33-day orbit within the star's habitable zone. Okay. It receives approximately a similar amount. I guess one of the things, though, Pepe, that I saw people talking about is as they explore space a little bit deeper, they're realizing that the Goldilocks planet theory is becoming more true, right? Because there's radiation bands, there's space dust, there's a lot of stuff out there, man, that it would be hard to travel through. Now, if they can do something with warping time, space and time, like we're talking about here, that could negate all that, right? And then, of course, if you can get zero point energy and all the stuff that comes with this type of technology, if you can actually make it into something that's usable, make it a reality, who knows how that's going to change everything, right? I'm talking about manufacturing, all that stuff, dude, and using AI, because that's one of the things I found fascinating when they're talking about AI and the possibilities of AI, that it can actually find cures for diseases, that it can actually build the materials or give people the formulas to make certain types of materials that you could actually do that to survive space travel. And Pepe says, let me read the whole thing again, Pepe. The planet is a sub-Neptune about 2.6 times the radius of Earth, with a 33-day orbit within the star's habitable zone. It receives approximately a similar amount of sunlight as the Earth receives from its sun. Yeah. Well, that's the hard part, though, right? Because until we actually get there or have the ability to get there, right? Or at least get a little bit closer. Technology gets us better where we can observe these planets even though they're farther away. I don't know if we'll ever get to that level, but that would be cool, right? Because you hear Elon Musk all the time talking about inhabiting Mars, which at some point in time, if you want to do that jump off, right? I mean, that's something that we should be working towards. I think so. Like I talked about on this channel before, guys. I think space exploration, I'm all for it, just because of the way Western society is, right? Like how people use colonizers in a bad way, because there is some bad stuff that happened in the past. The way I look at it is it's just apropos to what Western civilization is all about: moving on, progressing, exploring. And I think we need to get back to that. I think it's one of the reasons why we become stagnant and why we have so much issues in the world, right? Because we're not discovering, we're not progressing, we're not advancing. You know, I'd like to use the word wonderment again. Right? We're not discovering stuff on the level, like again, with all this stuff that's going on with quantum. What do you call it? Quantum, not just quantum. Dude, the quantum theory. I'll just say quantum theory, right? Because at the end of the day, it's fascinating, right? And regardless of how it comes out, dude, it gives people something to strive for, right? When people sit on their hands a little bit too much, man, that's when looking for things to do, man. You give people something to do, especially something like this, that's a challenge, dude. That's how people. That's to me. That's when we become, the possibility to be at our greatest. But yeah, if you guys get a chance, please definitely go check this out if you're interested in it. But I recommend you do it because these guys are also talking about a lot of the other stuff that's going on right now. That's kind of beneath the surface, but it's pulling up to the mainstream. And like what I do with the gaming things in my channel, some of the stuff I like to do on the channel as far as pop culture as well, is that look, dude, you don't ever want to be like in shock when all of this stuff finally hits. I'm not saying you do the deep dive and then you get lost in it, like to the point where you can't function. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is, it's also sometimes it's good. Actually, I think it's necessary to step outside of your box, step out of your sphere of influence, and actually think about stuff, right? Whether you think it's nuts or not, I think it's something good that you can do. Guys, did I lose you guys? Hold on. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm back on it. Pipele says K2 18b has long been considered the premier candidate for a Hycean planet. Hycean planet, an ocean world bigger than Earth with a hydrogen-rich atmosphere. Well, if it has the right elements, right, Pepe? And who knows, technology might advance further enough where that won't be an issue for us. Right? It's all I know. A lot of this stuff is theory. Some of it, people say wishful thinking. Right? Kind of get your head out of the clouds. But no, I mean, we have to start somewhere, right? That's why I think that's why I like having these conversations, because at the end of the day, I think this is how it started out back, back in medieval times, right? When people were trying to explore and trying to figure things out. And fast forward to 2025, a lot of that stuff, like, I love the term, we stand on the shoulders of giants, right? Because is that through that progression? Of course, natural is more preferred, but of course, some of that was forced as well, right? Chaos and order kind of thing, right? But yeah, dude. I mean, I think it's important that we ask these questions, that we look into it, and that we need to get back to the. We need another age of discovery, is what I'm trying to say. That's the best way I can put it. Oh, sorry about the noise, guys. Wow, this dude has the loudest bike and the slowest. Oh, that was horrible. It's still horrible. All right, let's get back to it. And here comes the bird. Cool. Cygnus says, I heard they're trying to make an AI hospital to diagnose and predict future diseases or diseases. Oh, diseases. I think you meant, right? Cygnus per person and prescribed or give you specific vaccines. Yeah, yeah, right. And all of that stuff needs to be looked at. One of the things they're trying to do with AI, if AI gets, as AI is progressing, becoming a little bit more self aware, right, is that they feel like it can help them curing a lot of diseases that we have no cures for right now. Building materials and structures that we need to travel through space. All of that sickness, right? But it's interesting. You can tell we're just in the early stages, man, because you see these guys kind of warring with their data centers and their energy issues, right? Again, that's what I talked about on the channel. That's why nuclear energy is back in the excuse me, nuclear energy is back in vogue, right? For years, man. And when I was growing up, people was against nuclear, 100%. 3 Mile Island, the whole nine, dude. Now you got Microsoft trying to open it back up. Besides Amazon and all these other guys, man, because we don't have the power. Our current energy grid can't handle it. We can't sustain it. Not even close. And nuclear is the best thing they have. Now, if you can pull from what do they call that? 0 point energy, right? Find a way to pull that, dude. That's next level. That's a next level, next tier leap ahead, and then energy won't be an issue. Of course, you got to factor in all the negatives that can come after that, right? Like what are the byproducts? Is it truly clean energy? Like all of that stuff. And then unfortunately, with a lot of this stuff, we won't know. Right? A lot of times, I hate to say that, sometimes you don't find out until something bad happens. Right? You know, that's why they say, the pioneers they get the arrows. Right? I mean, and then of course, the bureaucracy and is it safe and all this kind of stuff has to be considered. But again, we'll do the videos and then we'll show, at least in our current administration, they're looking at moving forward. Pipula P says Hycean planets, much like Earth, are covered in oceans and have atmospheres rich with hydrogen, an element that is essential for life. How did they determine that, Pipula? How did they determine that it actually? I mean, I know you could see, right? Like, what are the indicators? Like, how are they picking up on those indicators that it's actually like that? I'm not doubting you. I'm just asking. Google poll. We all die someday. That is true. That is true, Google. Like we all might be gone before this is even touched. Who knows? But Google poll says we all die someday. The great equalizer. Yeah. What did they say? There's two things in life: uh, death and taxes. Signa says China already succeeded doing gene editing of human embryos. They got babies now that immune to HIV. Yeah, dude. Yeah, Cygnus, bro. I mean, that's China can keep that stuff, bro. But yeah, they don't have the same restrictions that we do on this kind of stuff. That's how they're able to advance. But you got to be careful with this kind of stuff. Again, I talked about the sons of God, the fallen angels, right? The council of God's council, right? So not to get too deep into that kind of stuff, but one of the things that they were doing back then, right, is that they were basically gene splicing, right? They were mixing humans with, they were doing unnatural things. That's one of the reasons why, um, like when they talk about God regretting creating mankind, right? that they were taking his creation and they were making the creation. They were warping it. They were making it. They were just. They were. Oh man, what's the word I'm looking for? My goodness, what's wrong with me? God, sorry, I had a long day, dude. I was staring at my screen all day today. Um, but they were warping God's creation. That's why if you guys get a chance, dude, do a deep dive on that stuff. That stuff is interesting. Yeah, saying this, but beware of that kind of stuff. That's why I'm not too big on some of the stuff that Elon wants. He likes these hybrids, right? I'm not a big proponent of that. Ghost laughing. Oh, the new telescopes, like from Earth. Like, so how do they know? Like, I know they can. If they, how do they indicate? Like, what's the? How are they? Like, is they just seeing that it's water or soon to be water? How far away are the planets? Like, stuff like that. Again, I'm not doubting you. Just curious. Oh, are you? Sorry, I'm a little bit gone. Scientists hammer up hyperadapter super metal that's nearly unbendable. Oh, really? I did not know that. Something I gotta look at. Yeah, dude, they're gonna need to. They're gonna need to. They're gonna have to come up with something that can withstand the pressures of space. Scientists at PoshTech, Pohang University of Science and Technology, have achieved a major breakthrough in material science by creating a new type of nickel-based high-entropy alloy. Oh, interesting. Yeah, so a lot of times when you hear these nations talk about advancements and stuff like that, as Pepe is pointing out, right? There's a lot of this. There's a lot of other countries that are doing their own experimentation as well, pushing the envelope. That's interesting. I gotta look that up too, Pepe. You know what I normally do is I also grok it, dude. I put stuff in there, grok them. Grok pulls all the information for you. It's still good to do the deep dive yourself. I'm old school, so I like to do that. But sometimes just having grok do it too saves time. Pepe Le Pew says this alloy can maintain its strength and flexibility over a wide range of temperatures, from extremely cold, 196 Celsius, to hot, 600 degrees Celsius. Is it able to be manufactured at high levels? Like, is it feasible? Is it financially? Are they able to do that, Pepe? Or is this all just experimentation? Like, what type, like the materials? Like, what do they have to do? How much would it cost? That's why you see all these guys scrapping over rare earth minerals, man. Cena says, imagine you can edit genes for babies to be more like superhuman, like 100 times more smarter, 10 times physically stronger than regular humans. I mean, I think that's kind of like their goal. Um, but I don't know if that is possible. Again, that's my own biases in this, but like I told you guys earlier, uh, biblically, I just think it's wrong to do that. But say they could do that, sequence, right? What do you think? Some of the, if it's possible, like what do you think that would be? Like the science behind that must be nuts. Okay? To make it to not have like defects or nothing to go wrong. You know what I'm saying? Google Post says, "What do you think happened in MH370? Worst stuff." Well, according to this guy that you see right here, they're having a discussion about it, and he believes that the government has the technology to warp space and time. Right? Because if you watch the video that they show the video of the flight, the airplane is flying, then you see these three orbs come into play, come into view, and they're warping. They're just spinning around the aircraft. And at some point in time, if you're watching the video, um, the plane disappears. And there's a lot of and this guy has been through the ringer, man. Like dealing with debunkers and dealing with people that are skeptical. I'm not saying that's bad, but I'm just saying like because it's hard for a lot of people to comprehend this stuff, right? But I highly recommend, man, go check out this dude's channel. Go watch this video, and he talks about it in detail. And like I said, he's been talking about it for a while. Um, and he occupies this one space, I feel. But after all of this, and again, I gotta show you guys the video. In fact, I'll show you guys this video right now, guys, so we can get back to this. But hold on. Okay, so this is at a press conference the other day where the president kind of I know a lot of people like they say he lies and stuff like that. Dude, not this dude. I'm sorry. I just find it hard to believe online. Maybe he stretches the truth a little bit or doesn't say anything like he's not supposed to. But I mean, again, I always point towards his ego and what he likes to say and what he says, and he puts it all out there. Luckily, he didn't go too far. I don't know if somebody was like pulling his, telling him, giving him the look. So of course, on this one, they were talking about tariffs. They're talking a whole bunch of things. Like if you ever watch his press conferences, the press is just constantly asking him all kind of different stuff. Because this dude is doing like 5 million things and a hat trick, right? I mean, he's doing it all, and it hasn't even been 100 days yet, guys. It's nuts to me. But the thing with of course, with China and Taiwan and what would happen, if the China ever, because that seems to be a general concern with a lot of people right now, because people who are watching this stuff like closely, like again, I'm not an expert, guys, but I watch it because it's fascinating to me. But a lot of stuff is going on with China right now, dude. If you listen to our media, they kind of paint a bad picture for us that we're the ones behind the eight ball. In actuality, it's a lot of it has to do with China and what's happening on China's side, right? Again, please remember they're a communist party here, right? And so they have some stuff that they're dealing with. If you guys didn't know, President Trump dropped the 245% tariff on China, right? So he raised the stakes, man. He's basically like, dude, he's not going to blink. Because I don't think at the end of the day he cares. If they blink, then he's going to get money. If they don't blink, then he's already planning to bring all this stuff back. All he's going to do is do what China did to us. That's it. He's just going to string them along, get what we can, and then put us in the best position as possible. But he wants to bring all this stuff back here. Anyway, getting off topic. So it went into this conversation where they talked about war, and then they talked about Israel, and then he's basically spit it out. So the next video I'm going to show you guys really quick since we're on here, guys, is this dude right here, and this is what he says. Can you guys see? Oh my gosh! Sorry, guys. Hold on. I thought I shared this. My bad, you guys. My bad. One second. Let me go back to this. Let me play this again because.
And we're very powerful. This country is very powerful. Let me tell you, it's far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, not even close. So nobody's going to do that. But I think that if that's what you're referring to, maybe it's not. But just
Okay. So sorry, play that for you guys again, and then we'll go back to this other one. I believe this is his chief technology officer. This is Dr. Michael Kratsios, who serves as the director of the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy, right? And what happened was he came out with this statement and then he got picked up, right? And of course, he's the director of the White House Office of Science and Technology, right? So, of course, as soon as he drops this, it picks up steam. I'm of the belief that a lot of people think that a lot of stuff that Trump does is random. President Trump does is random. I don't think so at all, right? Um, and then if you look at the patterns, if you just follow the breadcrumbs, right? This is why I say what I say.
The X-15's record still stands, and the Concorde was decommissioned more than 2 decades ago. Our passenger planes are slower than they used to be. Our trains crawl compared to those in other parts of the world. Our cars do not fly. Advances have not stopped, but something has gone wrong. Stagnation was a choice. We have weighed down our builders and innovators. The well-intentioned regulatory regime of the 1970s became an ever-tightening ratchet, first hampering America's ability to become a net energy exporter and then making it harder and harder to build. We seem to have lost focus and vision, to to have lowered our sights and let systems and structures and bureaucracies muddle us along. But we are capable of so much more. Our technologies permit us to manipulate time and space. They leave distance and eye.
Did you hear what he said? Right. So he's basically kind of reinforcing what the president was talking about, right? And again, if you listen to the whole of this, again, if you guys, this is the hard part, right? But I can't do a lot of these videos, man. They're just way too long. If I wish I could edit a lot of this stuff, right, to make it a lot easier and make a better presentation to you guys. But if you follow the Trump administration, I highly suggest you do. Obviously, you guys are interested. I'm learning a lot of stuff from you guys right now, right, that I did not know about, and I'll do deep dives on that as well. Right, this is what I do now. Disney sucks, man. I don't watch Marvel anymore. Star Wars is horrible, right? And I pretty much watch all my anime. I'm caught up with all my K dramas, right? So I need some entertainment, and this is why I've been going down these rabbit holes, and I'm glad because I've been finding this stuff to be very fascinating. But my point being is that the stuff that they're talking about right now, you have to get the full context of what this administration is trying to do. Again, if you can just put the politics on the side, like I'm talking to you, not pro or con, with President Trump or how you like him and how you don't like him, right? But obviously, this administration, he definitely knows what's going on, and they're moving in a certain direction, right? And if you want to know the direction that they're moving in to kind of stay out of the curve, or even if this stuff is just interesting to you, you got to do the deep dive, guys. You just have to, right? All of this stuff that they're talking about. First, you had everything that was coming out with AI, the chips they're talking about, while the tech giants were there at the White House for his inauguration, right? They bend the knee, right? Because a lot of these guys don't like him politically. They voted against him in 2020, kind of bit him in the ass, though, if we're being honest, right? Because they got all the government coming, the FTC's coming after them. In fact, I think Google lost a court case, and then Meta is on the block right now. But they're trying to get Meta to sign off on Instagram, and it's funny because a lot of people are saying that's Trump's fault, and this has been going on way before Trump got in there. You see what I'm saying? So if you want to stay ahead of the curve, you're gonna have to just bite the bullet and then and then like follow this kind of stuff because it's happening, dude. It's happening in cycles. Right? It's fascinating to me to see it, right? Like this whole image 30, the video I showed you with the YouTube. If you watch that and you listen to that guy and the conversation that they have, and then you can go to his channel, subscribe to him, and he does even more videos with the deep dive about it, right? And then you start to connect the dots, right? And to me, again, it becomes fascinating. Of course, if some of it is kind of scary, a little bit life threatening, dude. You worry about your government, what they're doing, right? How they're able to keep this under wraps and nobody talk about it, right? Because they don't do much. They're really bad at this kind of stuff. So when they actually do something that's good, you got to realize that you have to take it a little bit more seriously. You see what I'm saying? But it's all connected. It's all interwoven. That's what I like. I like following. I like following the streams, bro. Yeah, that's the part that I find fascinating. Okay, sorry.
Violate it, cause things to grow and improve productivity.
Oh, and again, and that goes with Trump's plan, right? To be more productive, put America first. He wants us to be on the cusp of it, right? That's why this kind of goes along. This is how you know this is true, because this actually ties into his messaging that he always talks about to his base, to the people, right? He wants to do all of this stuff here, like when they say it's a national security issue, he's not just saying it just to say it, like as a one-off. Right? Then you hear something like this, and they have their finger on the pulse. They know what's going on. You don't want any other country getting ahead of you with this technology because you don't know how they're going to use it. Hell, I don't even know how our own country's going to use it. Who knows? But all I'm saying is they definitely want to be the ones at the forefront of this kind of stuff. Right?
Vice President Vance said in a recent speech, the tradition of American innovation has been one of increasing the capacities of America's workers, of extending human ability so that more people can do more and more meaningful work. But unrestricted immigration and reliance on cheap labor, both domestically and offshore, has been a substitute for improving the productivity with technology. We can build in new ways that let us do more with
Sorry, I'm running this thing the whole gamut just to give you guys a complete picture.
less, or we can borrow from the future. We have chosen to borrow from that future again and again. Our choice as a civilization is technology or debt, and we have chosen debt. Today, we choose a better way. Our first assignment is to secure America's preeminence in critical and emerging technologies. This administration will ensure that our nation remains the leader in the industries of the future, with a strategy of both promotion and protection, protecting our greatest assets and promoting our greatest innovators. To the degree it even tried to accomplish this, the Biden administration failed on its own terms, led by a spirit of fear rather than promise. The old regime sought to protect its managerial power from the disruptions of technology, while promoting social divisions and redistribution in the name of equity. They secured American technology poorly and failed to strengthen our leadership at all.
Okay, so that's them diving into the political aspect of it, which he's not wrong. Just being honest, guys, right? There's truth in that. But I can tell you this much, man. This current administration, they're moving full speed ahead. And again, you kind of have to, dude. Again, if this stuff is true, man. Again, do the deep dive yourselves. We'll look at this stuff and tell me what. So we'll wrap. I'll do the comments now, guys. I got to wrap up. So I got to go. Again, that's why. Sorry about the quality of this video. I'm rushing, trying to get through it. At the same time, having a hard time sharing all my thoughts. I'll do a deep dive on this stuff, and then what I'll do is I'll do a podcast, give myself time, where we can all talk about this because I do like to chat. It's just unfortunate I got like a couple minutes and I got to bounce out, but I will cover what you guys are saying real quick. Pepe Le Pew says I'm reading up a bunch of new science news. Yeah, Pepe. Yeah, I am as well. I'm not gonna lie, dude. Some stuff's more fascinating to me than others. I do deep dive, but again, like I said, I'll use AI, I'll use Grok to pull out certain things, see what I'm missing, right? Rearrange some of my thought processes, run it through AI, right, and then get different perspectives. Yes, this is yes. The results published in Materials Research Letters have attracted attention from industries like aerospace and automotive. Yeah, definitely. And it's not just like, look, there's the business aspect of it, there's the money aspect of it, right? But it's also, for a lot of these things, man, it's also about being creative, not just being cutting edge, right? Imagine, how much people will, if this technology becomes actually usable, feasible, if it becomes something that actual with application, right? Of course, a lot of people are going to jump on board, 100%. And you need this, 100% agree with this, because this is how you push it forward, dude. You just can't keep it in a bottle, which is what the guy was talking about previously, right? Like he was talking about how the previous administration was kind of against tech. And I told you guys this when the whole AKB thing was going on, right? Why they were like that. Right? It's not just about them being scared; it's about power and control. Right? Just look at history, dude. A lot of civilizations should have advanced and they never did because they didn't want to lose control over their own people. So they kept things, discoveries and technologies from the people, so they couldn't progress and ultimately do without them. Human nature is just like that, guys. Cygnus says, I'm fascinated with gene editing. You can change baby's eye color or his skin complexion before they're even born. You can even make them taller if you want. Bro, man, imagine if that stuff becomes a reality, man. People be picking out. People be like, dude, the stuff that parents go through before they have a baby. Imagine if you can actually manipulate your baby. I'm not saying I'm with that. I'm just saying. It might actually make a population boom again. Pepe Le Pew says, I reckon at Brown University they found a way to use nanogold particles to fix eyes with lost vision and almost blindness. Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Dude, you're giving me a lot of stuff to research, bro. Just off of this, just off of your comments alone. That's interesting. That's one of those things where they talk about, like, the eye industry, right? The eyeglasses, contacts, and all that stuff. If this happens and they can fix eyesight, that industry could go away. Again, the causality of it all. Or maybe they can find a way to get in on it. I don't know. That's what I was kind of talking about earlier with Grok, when Grok was doing the positive and the negative of actually being able to break down a lot of the stuff that they're talking about right now. Manipulating space and time as well. Pepe Le Pew says, new Silver Surfer is a girl in Fantastic Four. Yeah, I saw that, Pepe, man. I don't know. They just can't help themselves, dude. Also, they're going to be more sensitive with Johnny Storm's character. Make him more like a modern type of person, like a guy or whatever. I'm done with Marvel, guys. I've been done with Marvel for a while. I mean, we can talk about it. I'll do a pop culture podcast. we can talk about it, right? But as far as me, like actually going to the movies, and I'm not subscribed to Disney Plus anymore. I mean, they just don't. And look, dude, if there's people out there that like it, dude, let them go play, go watch their stuff, dude. It's on them. But it's not for me, man. I've moved on, but it's still worth talking about. We can do that. But yeah, guys, thank you guys for being in here, man. Again, sorry about the quality. I kind of rushed through this. I didn't get to set it up exactly the way I wanted to, but I will make time, possibly this weekend, to try and talk about this in more encompassing style and fashion. In fact, tomorrow I might do the Wrecking Crew tomorrow because I do want to talk about the stuff with what is it, Oblivion, right? Oblivion's coming. Possibly next week. That's the rumor. They're gonna drop it. Oh wow, guys! Okay. I'm caught up. So I also want to talk about Game Pass, right? Again, and we can talk about Phil's interview a little bit, and if we have the guys, then the guys can give their commentary on it. I'm at this point now, dude, where I'll be honest with you. I'm at a point now with gaming that, again, like I said, with Xbox, dude, it's just the cards that they've kind of been dealt, and for me, it's kind of hard because they just deal with it that way. They're just like, oh well, fine, and they let it go. Because there's publications coming out there talking about, yeah, we said this is why we knew Game Pass was a failure. Well, this was their main thing. Now it seems like they're giving up on it. Yeah, and I don't want to be looking at that stuff anymore, dude. And Microsoft doesn't do any pushback. So what did I tell you, right? It could be that they're just like, oh, okay, whatever, we don't care because we're rich, or it could be like this stuff like, okay, yeah, it's not doing that well. Because at the end of the day, dude, it's about me, and it's about me being in their ecosystem. Dude. So give me what I need, satisfy me as your customer. If you can't satisfy me as your fan, which they do to some extent, but at least do it as a customer, right? I'll hold you to that much. WW2 is based off of 60s comics. What is that, Pepe? The Silver Surfer girl? Man, I love Norrin Rad though. He was a cool character. But yeah, guys, man. Oh, here we go. What do you say? Did you watch DMC on Netflix? Any good? What's DMC, bro? Oh, Devil May Cry? No, it looked kind of goofy, bro. But I started watching with my daughter. We're trying to finish up Delicious Dungeon, and then we're trying to finish up. We just started Moon. I want to say Moonraker. What is that, Moonraker? The new anime that came out, man. I think looks amazing. I finally finished all the deep diving on Solo Leveling, and I need to finish out Attack on Titan. Because some of the other shows I'm waiting for to start, they won't start till later on in the year, probably after summertime. So that's why I have more time to do deep dives. I got my second playthrough of Avowed. I'm doing it just strictly as a ranger and with weapons, just pistols, and I keep a magic book. I might get a wand, but basically I'm just trying to use the Arbus and the two pistols. They also making Fallout 3 remake after Oblivion. Yeah, that's what I heard. They're just gonna do everything, right? I mean, why not, dude? I mean, people buy it. If people buy it, or if it has people subscribing to Game Pass. That's what was irritating me about the articles today is that these guys don't. You can tell they don't have an Xbox and they don't play Game Pass. Game Pass is more than just, we have these subscribers. Subscriber count is important. I talk about all the time on the channel. But if you notice what Microsoft do is they're diversifying the portfolio. They're doing it with their games. They're doing it where they're putting their games. They're doing it within their subscription service, which is Game Pass. Some of the stuff that they're adding in there, dude, what they want you to do is just constantly be connected in. And they're getting your money whatever way they can. Right? Again, my daughter's playing Marvel Rivals, man. She dropped like $60 because of the skins. She also plays Overwatch where she pays money. Right? What's the game that they're gonna bring in there though? Dude, there's this other game that they're dropping in there in Game Pass soon. But anyway, it's just to keep dude, whether you spend a lot of money, whether you pay full price, dude, they just want you to spend money. And the more that people are in there, even if it's not like if it's a core group of people that just buy and spend, whether it's like $4 one day or $60 another day, or buying a $150 controller, buying a limited edition console, right? That's all money to them. And the reason why I don't really worry about Microsoft, because obviously if this was a problem, they would be making changes. Right, but at the end of the day, they're just looking at the profit. And with Phil, they care about the gamer and that kind of stuff. And again, I don't want to go down that hole because I'm the nuclear option, dude. I just want them to destroy the competition and just take over the way it was meant to be. Google poll, yeah, remakes that matter. Yeah. Yeah, dude, because if you look at Oblivion, right, it's super old, man. I haven't played Oblivion in like forever. I don't know the last time I even played it, dude. I mean, I saw some of the screenshots. They look amazing. Coming off of Avowed, I definitely want to jump into Oblivion. Nothing wrong with Avowed, but Avowed is a different beast. It's not your typical RPG, that's for sure. Action RPG, I should say. Google posted Cygnus play Oblivion. It's really good. Yeah, Cygnus, you should play it. If you want gamers anime, that would be Shangri-La Frontier. Yeah, everybody. I started watching that Cygnus because everybody compared it to solo leveling to get your solo leveling fix. So I watched the first episode. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I'm definitely gonna do it. I saw it on Crunchyroll, Google. Yeah, it's on Google on Crunchyroll. Yeah. Yes, I'm getting the Oblivion remake. Also, hopefully they do Fallout New Vegas after Fallout 3. I don't know about that one, brother. I'm not saying I'll be against it, but they're showing like you said they're showing what is that because everybody wants the people what's the name the Avowed guys, right? But they're gonna do they're working on Outer Worlds too. Are we supposed to be getting like deep dives on it? Again, I've been so into this other stuff, dude. I'm kind of falling off. But again, guys, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to wrap it up. Thank you guys for being here. I was playing Sword Art. Yeah, I gotta get, dude. I had that game. I haven't even touched it. I feel so bad. I have a bunch of the anime games I haven't touched. I'm gonna feel even worse because I'm gonna go upstairs and keep on playing Avowed until I get to the end, and then I can put it away. Yeah, Google. Thanks for being here, guys. Cygnus, thank you for stopping in. Really like the comments. Pepe Le Pew, man, thanks, brother. I really like it, bro. I'm serious. I want to deep dive this stuff. Kind of not my cup of tea, man, but I definitely, dude, I'm open to anything right now with all of this stuff. But yeah, let me wrap it up, guys. Sorry, this is a pretty fast one. But Xbox All In channel, full Sega forever. We got.